Okay, it's 6 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order and begin with the land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that we gather on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish peoples, specifically Nooksack and Lummi tribes, who have lived in the Salish Sea Basin throughout the San Juan Islands and the North Cascades watershed from time immemorial. On behalf of everyone here, we want to express our deepest respect and gratitude for our indigenous neighbors, the Nooksack and Lummi tribes, for their enduring care and protection of our shared lands and waterways. Next up is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
I think just to make sure you excuse Brenna is all.
What's that?
Did you want to excuse Brenna as well?
Yeah, I didn't do that yet, but
Okay.
Brent, I wanted to note in the minutes that Brenna is absent and excused.
There's no changes to the agenda.
And then, so we don't have an executive session.
Nope.
Okay. So I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Motion to approve the agenda is written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Good of the order.
Yeah, the good of the order focuses on a lot of the work that's done in the summertime. To our custodial crew and our maintenance crews have been working hard. You get to see some of the fruits of their labor in the parking lot already with the restriping that has been going on. So kudos to those groups. As well as our child nutrition crew. We're providing meals at 3 of our sites, Kendall, Acme, and here at the Deming campus, where families can come in and grab 5 days worth of food in one stop and are able to have some summer food at the house while school is not in session. Just want to acknowledge those groups of folks who are working hard to support even when school's out of session.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up is consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
A motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Information from audience, public comments. Tammy, do you have any? Okay, Natalie. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Natalie Chavez. Thank you for listening to public comments this evening. I was sorry to miss the last meeting. I don't know if you missed me. I
Yes,
happen to
we
be
did.
traveling. And congratulations, Jessica, for your new position as superintendent. It is my hope that you care about the health and well-being of the children in this community and in the Whatcom community at large as much as I do, and that you will help to protect them from the big pharma vaccine cartel who make billions of dollars in profit by having them receive numerous doses of toxic injections each year. As you know, there's a school-based health clinic that was approved for this district. The only other district in the Whatcom community that has a school-based health clinic is in Bellingham. And the HPV vaccines, as well as other medical treatments, will be pushed on to the students in this community. And Merck is one of the school-based health alliance funders. And so there's a huge conflict of interest. And at other schools in Washington state, they have pizza parties and student clubs to push these HPV vaccines. They have no idea about the side effects, no idea about the ingredients, have no idea about the safety insert in these for these HPV vaccines. And due to the mature minor doctrine, children and teenagers in this community and Washington state can receive these medical treatments that they know nothing about without parental consent. And so I just want to relay that information to you, that will be coming. And, yeah, I would just want to bring that to your awareness. That being said, I want to inform you all of some very terrible, really disturbing vaccine news, at least in my opinion. Moderna's new COVID-19 self-amplifying mRNA vaccine called NextSpike has been recently approved by the FDA for use in the general high-risk population. As crazy as it sounds, Moderna actually used their previous COVID-19 mRNA vaccine called SpikeVax in the NextSpike clinical trial control group instead of a placebo. And the package insert for NextSpike actually states that 2.7% of clinical trial participants had serious adverse reactions. And my guess is that that percentage is actually higher than stated, because how can we really trust any data coming from the multi-billion-dollar vaccine cartel at this point? Even then, if individuals truly have informed consent, who in their right mind would get this vaccine if they know that approximately 1 in 37 people will get a serious adverse reaction and maybe even a hospitalization or death after receiving it? This new vaccine is being recommended for use in all adults 65 and older, and children and adults ages 12 to 64 who have at least one underlying condition. The package insert also reports a confirmed risk of myocarditis and pericarditis, which is higher in males ages 12 to 24. The insert states for most people the symptoms resolve, but others have shown persistence of cardiac injury 5 months post-vaccination. The insert also indicates that long-term data about heart damage is not yet available. Well, that's definitely concerning and not reassuring, and it gets better, or rather more twisted than that. As I stated, NextSpike is Moderna's brand name for this new vaccine that's spelled Nexspike. And Nex, Nex, happens to be the Latin word for death or murder. It is often used to describe a violent death or slaughter. And it's also worth noting that the English word spike derives from spiculum, not sure how to pronounce it, the Latin word for a spear used by Roman infantry. In other words, NextSpike may literally be interpreted as Moderna's new death spear or death spike. So I really hope that with that information, you don't promote NextSpike to your community members, to the children and teenagers in this community, having that information. And if you do, I hope that you have at least the package insert, which you can, all of this information can be confirmed and verified on the Moderna website, and you can get the safety insert and have community members at least get informed consent before having that offered to the children and teenagers at this school district. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So, next up, we're actually, so that's all. That completes the sign up. But anyone else wish to speak? If not, I'll move on to board comments. I'll start with you this time, Jason. I can't remember last time if I think I ended with you.
Last Tuesday, Russ, myself, and Brian on a Zoom with the state auditors. A lot of good information. Seemed painless, which is good. So it went really good. So that was good. And then later that afternoon, Brenna and myself met with a large group here for the school-based health clinic. There was a lot of people, including the lady that runs the Cedar Woolley Health Clinic through St. Joseph's, which was a lot of good information. Had 4 sites we were able to look at that they came up with. One seemed very good, was within budget. There's a few things that we talked about there. We're gonna kind of change a few things and they'll bring back to the table, but that was good. A lot of good information from people that's ran them, been around them in other places. So that was good. And that's all I got.
Thank you.
Cool.
Ed?
Well, I just wanted to take a minute to thank you both for all the work that you've done here, and appreciate you leaving us in as good a shape as possible for the work that you did, and really wishing you guys well. And I'm looking forward to working with Jessica moving forward. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah.
what day was that? The 14th, Brenna, the 13th? Yeah,
Tour.
yeah, the
13th.
13th.
Friday, 13th.
Yeah, I know,
Friday
that's-
the
That's how I
13th,
remember
ooh.
it too.
Brenna and Russ and I attended the Women in Timber tour. And it was my first time going and I found it very informative. We got to see a couple of live logging sites, one on DNR land, one on private land. I think that was Hampton owned land. And it was a really informative experience. And being that our district is a beneficiary for timber dollars, it was important, I think, for us to be there and for me to learn a little bit more in depth about how their processes work. And then I guess I would also say then the day after that, log show weekend, big success. I'm looking at Tammy for all of her hard work there, but a lot of folks showed up and a lot of volunteer work that goes into that community event. So that's what I have for board comment this week.
Well, thank you. Yes, I also very much appreciated the Walking Women in Timbers Woods tour. I've been on it several times. It's always very worthwhile. Lots of productive discussions, get a chance to kind of talk with everyone, from DNR industry all the way across the board, and those are useful discussions. We looked at timber sale that I had seen on paper, but I hadn't looked at the ground, which is just east of Kendall Elementary. And it was a forest health sale where the trees are dying of root rot, with a lot of dead standing trees with fine needles ready to catch fire in the next lightning strike, say, or a careless camper or hiker or whatever. And I applaud the DNR for both recognizing that hazard and doing something about it where they can still recoup some value from the trees and then replant that with a more resilient species. And it's a small part of that sale is State Forest Trust. So I didn't do the math on that one, but I expect us to earn somewhere around $10,000 from that sale, from our portion of it, but don't quote me on that. I also I spoke with the log buyer from CR Pacific earlier this week, and got an update on Little Lily timber sale, because when I attended the court hearing, been over a month now, I think, ago, the judge did not issue an injunction against working on the timber sale. So they have completed their road building, and he told me that that they harvested and hauled 270,000 board feet of timber, of which the DNR has already billed them about $167,000, of which I wrote it down here somewhere. Mount Baker's. So our educational programs would receive, our share of that would be just about $27,000, and our capital projects is over $8,000 that's in the pipeline now already, because the DNRs build that. So Brian's in building the budget, we put 0 because we didn't know when this would be coming, and the rest of the say will probably be outside of this fiscal year, but at least we've got this amount. So I'm gonna, as we don't need to make a decision tonight, but as we work through this, I'm suggesting, I should say, that we determine what the pay to play expense what that would have earned if the families paid that, and apply a portion of the of this timber revenue to that, I think it would both be beneficial for the families. It would protect our participation, because I know a lot of people don't want to get free and reduced lunch, status, but they don't have the money to pay for it. And I most important thing to me is the participation. And it's a relatively small dollar amount, and I think it'd be excellent publicity for the value of timber revenue in our budget. And it's one of those things where you got a lot more money going to other things that don't show as much, but something that's this close to the students really does show. And so that's going to be my suggestion going forward as we complete pulling together our budget. Jason mentioned the audit. Great audit. You may touch on that in the finance report. I hope at least. Yeah. Okay. Well,
nothing to report.
There's no, well, with an audit, if you have no news, that's good news. And that's precisely what they told us. They said, no news is good news. And so, which is, that it takes a lot of work to get to the no news, good news point. So thank you for all that effort. And also, Brian, I want to thank you for, you started here your first week, found out that we were in binding condition. You didn't turn around and leave, but you'd moved into Bellingham, and there you were. So and then this last week, what was the F-195, that the data disappeared, not to any fault of our, it's either at the ESD or OSPI level.
Because I took a day off, I think. I finally took a day off, and then my data all wiped.
Yeah.
So that, it's coming and going, it hits you. But I want to thank you for all the work that you've done to get us on well along the pathway to exiting binding conditions. It's been a tough haul, but I think you definitely have been instrumental in doing that and working with Nick in helping us be in a position to exit it. So, and then Nick, I really appreciate your service for the district, both at Kendall as principal and here in the district office, both HR operations and the interim superintendent. You've always kept the kids foremost. You care for the kids is shown in everything you do. And the other thing for me, I've been on the board for over 25 years, and the leadership quality that keeps coming back to me as the most important is honesty. I can work with just almost everything else, but honesty that's got to be there. And you've always, I know in our relationship, we've always been honest, and I wanted to recognize that and acknowledge that and wish you the best in your next position. So thank you so much on behalf of our whole district. So that's all I had. Now we're forward action items, and we've got a long list of resolutions, and I did go through. I read through them, and I corrected a few little things in there. So I think, at least in my mind, we've got the wording right. So I'll just take them one by one, because that's the way we've got to do them. So first is schedule of compensation, benefits, and other information between non-represented certificated staff and the school district. And if you could introduce this one,
Yeah.
I think there's some details that we'd like to hear.
Yep, I will introduce this one. This one covers our Director of Curriculum Assessment as well as our Director of Student Services. Two folks, again, who are certificated to be in their positions. And a salary schedule, as you see, is just one line. There was an attempt to develop one a couple years ago, but it proved to be, we originally tried to tie it to the administrative salary scale, but it became not sustainable for the district to be able to keep wages moving tied together. So this represents an amount that to me seemed fair and in alignment with neighboring districts. This is these two in particular have had furlough days the last 2 years and have not received raises the last 2 years. So this does represent an increase in their compensation, but with the reorganization at the district office, there's no net change to what in the budget we're developing.
Any questions?
Yeah, I got a couple questions. Why are we reviewing just this non-certificate?
That's a great question.
Other
Yeah. So certificated positions in districts are traditionally July 1 to June 30. That's why this one's right now. And classified, Jessica and will be bringing up the non-rep classified group because that will start on September 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
But do we have what are our other non-representative certificated staff?
Aside from the superintendent, none.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the 5 principals are all certificated, but they're a part of a group, representative group called MBAA.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
And when do we review that?
They are this upcoming school year will be the last year of their 3-year contract.
Gotcha.
Yep. So that'll be up for bargaining this year.
Okay. And so you mentioned we had furlough. Has that been discussed moving forward, or do we not need furlough?
We're in a spot right now where with reorganization in the district office, there's not a single person who's non-represented, well, actually not a represented person either, will have furlough this year.
Okay.
I will note that the non-representative group also includes the finance director position. However, going forward in the upcoming year, we won't have a person in that position. We'll have a business manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, business manager is going to be the title there, which is a different salary schedule than the finance director.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the salary schedule for these positions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you'll see the next one with Superintendent Schenk when she presents that in the coming months.
Okay. And then how do the actual employment contracts work?
So yeah, that's a good question. So then with that, once this is approved, they're issued individual employment contracts, and those are going to be very similar to what a teacher contract would look like or a principal contract. And as far as their responsibilities and rights and that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah. So when you say this is comparable to other school districts, I mean, what kind of research did you do? Or? Yeah,
so we'll look at, usually the ones I'll be looking at are going to be Meridian, Nooksack, and Blaine because they're similar size. What I will tell you is in comparing years of service, there isn't a district that neighbors us that has 2 folks who are as experienced as the 2 we have. Mm-hmm. So they are going to be a little bit hot, like on the actual scale, they'll be on the higher end because no one else in our neighborhoods have the years of service for those 2 positions.
And both those positions exist in the other school districts?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Aside from the change in compensation from the previous version of this, are there other changes in the language?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the scheduled compensation for non-represented certificated staff.
Sorry. Motion to approve the schedule of compensation for non-represented staff.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up is Mount Baker Resolution 242516, authorization of facsimile signature.
I've got nothing to describe for these ones, so I have nothing to say for these.
So I think what I'll do, so the other ones, there's really, they're just changing the name of who's authorized, so, I agree, Nick, unless there's any question, if there's any questions about any of these, we can answer those, otherwise I'll entertain a motion to approve, resolution 24-25-16.
Motion to approve resolution 24-25-16.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is resolution 24-25-17, authorization of warrant signature. If there's no questions, I will entertain a motion to approve 24-25-17.
Motion to approve resolution 24-25-17.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. If there are no questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve Mount Baker Resolution 24-25-18, authorization to invest funds.
I did have one question about that. Just since we're talking about, what are examples of things that we've invested in?
That's a good question. So, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, what this means is one of the things that someone in Brian's position does is moves money within the county from in our cash fund to the county investment fund. So the county invests all the money together, and it's better to have money, it's like you're saving versus your checking. And so that's what it means. It's not like we're going out and investing in other things. Is that right, Brian?
So this would include when we transfer from capital projects fund into our operating budget.
And even within our operating budget, there's sometimes we have cash outside of that and we put it in county investments as well to try to earn higher interest on that.
Okay. And this has Jessica's name as well as Katana.
Yeah.
And so can it be either one, or is Jessica always involved in that?
It's the way that'll vary depending on who the superintendent is. The way Brian and I have done it is that he is always the one to do it. However, in the event that he's gone or something indisposed, I'm prepared to do those as well.
I mean, is this something that we need the superintendent to review each time, or is it?
You know, I think as the transition begins, it wouldn't hurt for extra eyes on everything. It's something that I felt comfortable enough with Brian to do. I know that when Mary and Ben were here, the superintendent didn't review it then.
No, okay. No, okay.
So I will also note that we're required to invest our funds through the Whatcom County Treasurer, and the Whatcom County Treasurer is very limited in what they can, where they can place those funds. So it's not, we don't have a free.
No crypto here.
But I mean, we could make more money otherwise, but it's you know, these are basically operating funds. And so they're treated as such. Anyway, any other questions? Entertain a motion to approve resolution 24-25-18.
Motion to approve resolution 24-25-18.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So if there are no questions on resolution 24-25-19, designation of district agent, I will entertain a motion to approve that.
Motion to approve resolution 24-25-19.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. If there are no questions, entertain a motion to approve resolution 24-25-20, designation of auditing officers.
Motion to approve resolution 24-25-20.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. If there are no questions, entertain a motion to approve resolution 24-25-21, appointment of district's claim agent.
Motion to approve resolution 24-25-21.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next up is, there are no questions. I entertain a motion to approve resolution 24-25-22, as certified signatures of district personnel authorized to sign school construction project documents.
Just looking at you, Ed, do you have any
You
questions?
can just, yeah. Do you have questions?
No,
Okay, motion to approve resolution 24-25-22.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. And last up is, if there are no questions, motion to approve resolution 24-25-23, signatories for bank accounts.
Motion to approve resolution 24-25-23.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And next up is finance report.
Alrighty. So, as you guys know, the second meeting of the month, we give a finance report. But there's a couple pieces, this time of the year, also give a quick budget update because finance reports are just where we are. It's more of a status check on our current situation, but also, as you know, the district's getting ready to adopt a budget at the end of the summer. So I'll give a quick update on that as well. So as it says there, F-195, the full budget, all funds, it's in draft form and has been passed review by the ESD. And following law, there's a copy in the main office as well as on the website for folks to review. Because it'll be part of the process that the board and the new superintendent go through for public hearing and with final approval of the budget by on the 24th at the regular school board meeting, knowing that that'll be when we want to get it done. No changes since Dr. Frazier presented on June 12th. We're projected to adopt a budget that is positive, about 140K, and we're projected to end this school year, this fiscal year rather, at about 1.34 million. So not much has changed since that last time. So making sure you're up to date on the budgeting process for next year and how we try to project how we're going to finish up this year. Questions about the budget for next year? Okay.
So when are we actually gonna vote on that?
Yeah, so my assumption will be, that'll be up to the board and Superintendent Shank. But what my assumption will be is it'll be at the 24th regular school board meeting, because you need to advertise it for a couple of weeks or for a certain amount of time in the paper and have public comment and first reading and that kind of stuff, or public review. So adopting on the 24th will be within the time frame required by law. Yeah, that'll also give time for Superintendent Shank and Ms. Jensen to review the budget that they'll be managing for the next year too.
Right on.
Yep. We had a binding conditions meeting. Was that was last week or this week?
This week.
It was this week. Sorry.
I don't know what year it is.
I know, seriously.
The audit and the budget.
Yeah, so it was this week, and if the length of it is any indication, it was a 15-minute meeting. So I think again, similar to the audit exit meeting, it was a pretty good one. Some notes there as far as if we look at binding condition number 4, making sure that we're adopting budgets that are going to meet those conditions.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a slight shortfall as far as measured against 25-26, but they weren't concerned about that.
Do you know what the shortfall was projected to be?
You mean the difference as far as like getting to that?
Yeah,
4%? It was like $40,000.
40?
Mhm. Yeah. And it's important to remember that we've been using moderately conservative projections. So
Mhm.
there's a chance that $40,000 isn't even a difference. There's a chance that as things shake out, that 4% becomes a reality as opposed to just barely missing it.
Is the difference just the 1% between the board policy and the 4%?
The 4% is what binding condition number 4 is. The school board policy is 5%.
Right. So
Yeah.
that short, when you say a shortfall, it's just because of that 1% difference, or is there?
No, it's going to be like $40,000 short of the 4%
Oh, I see.
potentially.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, that's with some forecasting, some moderately conservative forecasting. So,
Yeah, we'll have a year to work on it.
yep. Yeah. All right. So cash balances. Take a look at those. pretty typical spots for where they should be. Again, there's no loan outstanding from capital to general, so those
Mhm.
amounts showing there are where they are at this point. As you guys know, we're tracking the annual average FTE, which is the AAFTE, which is why it creates a flat line in the summertime, because we don't unenroll or take new enrollments in the summertime. So that's why it will kind of balance out there. Our budget for this year was 1479, and we're at annual average of 1494.4. So over by 15.4, which is a good thing. Again, that's going to be, as we talked this time last year, that's one of the tools a district can use to remain conservative and sustainable, is to not overestimate enrollment, because that's like getting to choose your revenue, which isn't always a smart thing to do. So revenue tracking. So we collected about 25 million of the 34.7 we expect to collect. As we continue to track the revenue, just a reminder that OSPI has informed us that they too are having some challenges. So there's a chance that, income or revenue from them will be short in 1 month, but it'll be made up for in the next month. So they too, like a lot of districts they support, are facing some challenges.
So are they, that it'll still be, it'll still come within the fiscal year? Okay.
Yeah, that 34.7 million is not anticipated to change at all.
Okay.
It's just a matter of when it comes.
No.
Expenditure tracking, as we'll see in the next couple slides, as you guys know, expenditures are a lot more consistent than revenues are in a school district. So we're right on pace for having spent 24.6 of the 33.1 we anticipate to spend this year. Revenue yearly comparison. Remember that last year we received an apportionment advance in November, so you can see that difference in November. And expenditure yearly comparison. Again, we spent over $500,000 less this year than last year. And again, I think, give a moment of pause there in consideration of where costs are. We're still operating same near programming we were this time last year, just very differently, and then with hardworking staff to ensure that we are doing it with less expenses.
I think the notable thing with that, there's two notable things. One, particularly over the fact that we have a pretty stable staff, and the staff has continues to move up salary schedule, and that, but still be able to save that much. And then that's taken up without changing our educational program that the students experience in a notable or significant manner. We've cut back some classes, and so there are, there's some definitely some impact, but not to the degree that I was anticipating. I guess looking into it, we've tried to guard the student experience as much as possible. So that those are both very notable in the work that you've done to get the budget back in shape and put us on a pathway to sustainability.
Yeah, thanks.
On with the cost of inflation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Continuing to,
revenue to expenditure comparison. Remember, October and April are the months that we collect local taxes. That's why those green bars are higher in those months. There's the Mount Baker version of the squiggly line that we'll see in a moment. That is the trend for all school districts in the state. That revenue just kind of not being as stable as our expenditures are. Comparison from this year, last year, fund balance, as you saw last year, there's less of a decline in the fall, winter time from October to December, very simply because that's when we had the apportionment advance. So that's why that was softened there. But then the steep decline you saw from April to June last year won't occur because that's when the apportionment advance was paid back last year. So we don't have that advance. We won't see that precipitous fall that we saw this time last year. Again, there's this on the left was developed by the president of WASBO, and it fits us to a T. It fits a lot of school districts. And again, I think about some of the conversations Ed started a while ago about the importance of fund balance. And again, it speaks to why that fund balance is important, because when you have a proper fund balance, it slides this whole graph higher above zero and lets you sustain through those harder months. Other questions?
Questions, anyone?
Okey-doke. So that's all I've got for finance.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, next up is meeting schedule. I think let's see there, each one of you have made an appointment to meet with Jessica, I believe.
I will.
Okay, so prior to our next board meeting, try to get that in. And then we have our school board work session retreat scheduled for July 9th. And I don't think we have any other special meetings, so that would be it. Thank you. So next up is the superintendent oath of office. So I think we'll invite you up. I have one copy of this. I can read it.
Okay.
I'll go through a few words at a time. And then state your name.
I, Jessica Shane,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington,
and will faithfully perform the duties of superintendent
and will faithfully perform the duties of superintendent
/ secretary of Mount Baker School District number 507
/ secretary of Mount Baker School District 507
in the county of Whatcom,
in the county of Whatcom,
state of Washington,
state of Washington,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I will note that your position still starts on July 1st. State law allows the oath of office up to 10 days prior to the beginning of position. So that's when it will actually start. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. So that completes our meeting and we adjourn.
Wow.
If Raleigh Holtzman was still alive, I'd get $2 Sacagawea for this.
Yeah.
Fast in the meeting.
I know she doesn't get to relish in the.
Satisfaction.
Yeah.
How
Seriously.
efficient we were.